Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night by myself right now. Why? Because we got he is one of my favorite reporters. He knows that, man, and he has got the famous notebook with him right now to empty it on Nomad at Night. I feel lucky because I know Alex takes copious notes. I know for a fact Alex Shapiro from NBC Sports Chicago takes copious notes, and he's here to empty them out on the show for you guys. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time before I bring him up. But before we get right into it, I'm going to give out some pleasantries to some of the people I see in the chat. Cornelius Squalls, one of the first ones I've seen here. And, of course, I got Plank is here. Let me see. It's Crimson You Dig. Queen P. Patty Laura is here. Let me see. Iron Save. First time I seen you in the show, my God. So I don't know if you're a guy or girl, but whoever you are, welcome to the show. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the community. And if you like what we do tonight, make sure you hit the subscribe button before you go. Like the show, of course. Our juniors here also. Let me see. Make sure I'm not missing nobody. I'm only speaking to the ones I see right now on the screen. But with that being said, love all you guys. Thank you for being here. Everybody that's watching the show live, anybody that's watching on replay, love you guys for being part of the community. But without further ado, let's not waste this man's time and let's see what the famous, infamous Camp Notebook has got in it, man. I'm eager to find out what you got going on because I know you got something I'm not thinking. There it is. There it is right there. We're going to have to bronze that thing, Alex, man. How you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. Thanks so much for having me, Nomad. It's always a pleasure joining you all.
Man, it's great having you on, man. I feel privileged to have you here. You get to give these people a bird's eye view of things they can't see. And I know. So let me preface this conversation now. So I make sure everybody in the show knows, anybody watching right now, going to watch it on replay, there's a rule. Now, you stop me and correct me if I get this wrong. There's a rule where you can only talk on the perimeter of what you're actually seeing as far as the install goes, plays, and things like that, right?
No, I don't think so because these are open. Well, they're kind of like semi-open practices. So closed practices, we definitely have to ask about something before we can talk about it in great detail. But we are, we can describe what we're seeing. And for open practices, we can be live tweeting. We can say, Caleb Williams hit Tyler Scott on a go ball and Tyreek Stevenson was in coverage, things of that nature. So, yeah, when the fans are out there, we get to be pretty detailed, which is cool.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put you in a bind, man. I didn't want to ask you things that you can't speak to. And, it's kind of ambiguous for me. I don't know exactly what you guys are, what kind of rules or structure you're under. So I'm just trying to walk on eggshells so I don't say the wrong thing and put you in a tight spot. That's all.
You know what? You can ask whatever you want. Here's the thing. I'm not going to have too many details. We're 4 days in? I actually, truth be told, missed the first couple of days. I was at a wedding. So I did miss the first couple of days. So there's not a lot of great details to share because honestly, at this point in camp, it has kind of resembled OTAs and mini camp. The guys don't even put on the pads until Friday.
Right.
And they're not going to be doing they're not going to be doing crazy scheme things that are really going to show their hand or really give us a detailed idea of what the Bears offense or the Bears defense is going to look like in 2024.
Okay, well, I got a very curious question, and this comes off the back of let me give them a shout out again. Adam Hogue and Carm. I looked at a small portion of one of their podcasts, and they were trying to be ambiguous with what they were saying. And from what I understood, it sounded to me like, and when I hear these words, I take it a certain way. We had a whole show talking about it the other day, and it was, the Shane Waldron is trying to cater to Caleb Williams' strengths. And so I'll tell you how I discern that. Caleb Williams' strength, right off the bat, the first thing you notice about Caleb Williams is how fast he gets rid of the ball. The release is really lightning quick as compared to what we had here last year, the last few years. And I'm thinking maybe they're getting him into more concepts that fit him and what he likes. And helping the learning curve a little bit by getting him comfortable. And I also heard that that the running backs were a lot more involved than I guess normal. So what did that mean to me? They were pretty involved before, getting the ball a whole lot on the ground. So it made me think they're getting a lot of stuff going on in the quick game. And so that's what came to my mind was quick game. I don't know if I'm right or wrong about that. Did that stand out to you?
Yeah, there was a good amount of quick game. That's both 7-on-7s, that's team drills, where little quick comebackers or curls or out routes. The ball, as you said, at times it's definitely coming out quicker. Now, it's not to say that there aren't these longer developing plays, and that's not to say that there aren't moments where Caleb Williams is holding onto the ball behind the line of scrimmage and creating time and then kind of doing off script. We've kind of seen it all, to be honest. But you're absolutely right. DeAndre Swift is catching balls out of the backfield. They are getting the running backs involved, and the quick game, we've seen it. It's been there. But again, at this point, not even a week into training camp, based on how many practices they've had, I don't think we can make grand conclusions about what this means for the Bears offense. I think they're just working a lot of stuff in the early stages of the summer.
Are you seeing a lot of gun? Is he getting in gun? That's where he's comfortable. So when I said, playing to his strengths, that was one of the first things that came to my mind. Gun, mesh concepts, quick game. That's exactly what went to my head. So you're seeing a lot more gun.
They ran a lot of shotgun with Justin Fields too. In the small sample size, I don't know that I noticed that it was an uptick. I don't know that it, that it dinged for me. Oh, they're in the shotgun so much, because again, they did that with Fields a bunch too. But yes, we are absolutely seeing Caleb Williams in the gun plenty.
Okay, that checks a box for me. Now I want to see if what I heard, another thing that Adam Hogan and Carm said, and it made me think a particular thing is, the offense isn't stagnant. So what would they mean? I'm just using my ability to discern. What it meant to me is, they were spraying that ball around quite a bit to different guys, and it wasn't like predictable. And, maybe they were using some tempo, to try to get them used to that, using that as a weapon. Did you notice any of that?
Definitely spreading the ball around. I mean, just right here, I have a target for DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Colin Johnson, Gerald Everett, Tyler Scott, 88. The Stephen Carlson, I believe, is 88. So bam. I mean, that's a ton of guys right there in 7-on-7 drills. So they're spreading it out. Now, tempo, that's another one where I don't know that it's really ding for me that they've been going up tempo. In fact, at some points, it's been it's taking a while for them to get out of the huddle or something like that.
Right.
So I don't know. Again, small sample size. I missed a couple days. I haven't really noticed any tempo, no huddle stuff, but absolutely they are spreading the ball around to multiple receivers and also multiple levels. There's been a lot of short game. There's been plenty of intermediate game, and there's been a good dosage of deep passes as well. So it's not like they're just working one area of the field over and over and over. They are working levels of the offense.
Okay. So I got one more question. So Kieran Amegadjie, so my instincts tell me that, every time, these guys draft some guys, it tends to make me believe I don't see Kieran Amegadjie as a particular project, but I don't know how bad that injury is that he's got going on. And I know he's there, he's a participant, he just can't do live like live work right now. Mm-hmm. Do you see a world where he even plays this year, or you think they sit him back and kind of work on him?
I think he could play. I don't think it's the plan for him to play, though. So right now, the backup left tackle has been Larry Borum. When Braxton Jones, who has been limited at times, isn't in there, Larry Borum is the starting left tackle. And to be honest, so let's take a big step back before I say what I'm about to say. Let's take a step back. Let's take a breath. The pads aren't on. That puts pass rushers at a huge advantage because offensive linemen, they don't have the pads to, put their hands on, right? It's way tougher. That said, guys like Jacob Martin, guys like Austin Booker have been working Larry Borum, and they've been doing it with speed around the edge. They've been doing it with hand technique. So again, Larry Borum is at a disadvantage, but he's been getting worked. So if worst case scenario, Braxton Jones gets hurt, I think the Bears probably want a guy like Kieran Amegadjie or even Matt Pryor, who has, again, the practices that I've been at, Matt Pryor's been working on the interior. You probably want one of those guys in there instead of a Larry Borum. So that could be a path for Kieran Amegadjie to make it to the field this year. But I don't think their plan A is for Kieran Amegadjie to be playing left tackle. Now, maybe they start doing some rotational stuff because we've seen them do that, right? We've seen them rotate offensive linemen as part of a plan. But if they did something like that, I think it would be later in the year, not to start the year.
Okay. I think I might have told a mistruth because I got a couple quick questions before we bring the guys in and you can empty them out. So Austin Booker, I'm hearing, is getting reps with the ones in one rotation. Did you notice that?
I think that happened before I got there. But in speaking with other media members, and the Bears even kind of alluded to it themselves, Eric Washington mentioned it in a press conference that I attended, where basically he was saying, like, yeah, he's gotten some tick with the ones, but that was more a function of the rotation, about getting guys in and out as they ramp up, and not necessarily an indication of, hey, we think this guy is deserving of one reps. They want to expose him to the first team. They want him playing alongside Andrew Billings, Jervon Dexter, in front of Tremaine Edmonds. They want him to be exposed to that, to feel that. But it's not, you shouldn't look at Austin Booker playing with the ones as some sign that, he might overtake DeMarcus Walker for that starting defensive end job. I don't think that is on the table right now. Again, like less than a week into training camp.
Okay, I hear you. Here's my last individual question. Like, if I was there at that camp and I got to see some of the things that you saw, naturally, I'm going to leave there that day and I'm going to have some things in my mind about some stuff I saw team-wise and individuals, like, damn, I didn't expect this, or I'm intrigued by that, whether it be a player or something they were doing. Do you go home at night seeing stuff and like, damn, this is stuck in my head, this looks good, or wow, I'm gonna pay more attention to that? Anything?
Yeah, Jacob Martin, this is a guy who I thought would.
Hold on, Alex, hold on. I got to jump up and down for a second. I've been telling people all offseason, people are going to be so pleasantly surprised. That might have been one of the best picks in the offseason.
Well, you're right on it, man. You're right on it. I figured he would play a handful of snaps a game and then be a special teams contributor. That was my expectation when he was signed. But, as the Bears potentially look for another pass rusher DE, he's been the guy who's gotten the opportunity as that kind of third dude, again, in the limited sample size that I've seen. And he has looked really good. I mean, he's looked fast. He is using his hands well to get around guys where it's flashing. Now, there was a guy who was doing that last year who seemed like a camp stud and didn't make the team, right? Travis Gibson, same thing, was flashing, didn't make the team.
I thought you were going to say the kid from Alabama. I forget his name right now. Long arms. I forget his name. I thought you were going to say him, but never mind.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about, and his name is eluding me.
Yeah, me too.
Not Travis Smith. He's the DL coach. This is going to drive me crazy. I'll Google it. So I've been burned by this before. I've been fooled by this before as recently as the last training camp, that just because a guy is making all these plays in training camp doesn't necessarily mean he's going to make the team.
There it is.
But
there it is, Alex, right there.
yeah. Oh, Terrell Lewis. Terrell
Yeah,
Lewis. Yes. Michael Copeland. Great call. Terrell Lewis was making all sorts of splash plays and made it throughout that entire summer, but in the end didn't make the team. So Jacob Martin, I think, has a much more realistic shot of making this team, and I do expect him to make the team. But I'm not going to be fooled again like I was last year and just say, oh, just because this guy's turning it up in a handful of practices, it means he's going to be like this major impact player. But to answer your original question, he's been the dude who's kind of surprised me and kind of caught my eye.
You know what's funny about it, Alex? Before I'm going to bring these guys on right quick, because Nick, do you want to come on? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up or not. No, he's not ready. We'll bring him on later. So what's funny about that is, Alex, I keep hearing players come to the podium, and in that room when they're talking about that group, he seems to be like one of the first people that come to mind for everybody. Like, hey, I'm surprised by this kid. So I think you're right on, man. I look at tape. The tape is my Bible, man. You know, I'm not an analytics guy, Alex. I'm not saying that those things don't have a place in evaluating the football game and players. I'm saying the tape is my Bible. I go there first, and if some analytics help kind of point out something that I noticed on tape, then great. But dude, I think he's going to be a steal. I think one of the steals of the offseason, 100%.
Sure, you know, and look at Rasheem Green. This is a guy who didn't, you know, light up the stat sheet, but was a core special teams player and did light up the stat sheet in the blocked kicks department. So, you know, even if he doesn't have 4.5, 5 sacks this year, he can still be an impact player. Mm-hmm. And the Bears are going to need a committee at pass rusher behind Montez Sweat, right? Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker right now is the guy who's not only probably going to start opposite him, but in NASCAR packages. You know, he did this a bunch last year where he played DT, and he's doing it more in training camp now, moving over to DT. So that is something I expect to contribute, which means you're going to need more guys, more Austin Bookers, more Jacob Martins to step up and play more snaps. And if they bring in another guy, I'm sure another guy will be a piece of that puzzle. But it's not like he needs to. It's not like a Jacob Martin type, like I said, needs to have 6, 7, even 5 sacks to be a contributor on this defense.
I'm going to answer your question a little bit later, Michael Copeland, but right now we gotta let Alex do the dun 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 dun, bring out the bronze notebook, and let's see what he's got in there, man. Some nuggets. Let's see what we got.
Let's see. Okay, well, I have 55 sack written down. That's where my eye went first. Who is Jacob Martin? Okay, here are some good ones. Tyreek Stevenson is all over this thing. Whether he's giving up completions or not, I have a lot of contests for Tyreek Stevenson, and he is another guy who I just think is in line to take a huge step forward this year. Jalen Johnson has looked every bit as good as he did last year. This is not a guy where it seems like he got the bag and is going to fade away. No, he got the bag and he is still competing at an extremely high level.
So he's looking like money. He's looking like money.
He's looking real good. In fact, at the end of not today's practice, yesterday's practice, they did a little low red zone work. And Caleb Williams tried to loft a pass to, I couldn't actually not see the receiver. I want to say it was Colin Johnson, but I'm not positive. But he tried to lob it over Jalen Johnson's head for the touchdown in the back corner of the end zone. Jalen Johnson makes an incredibly athletic pass breakup to deny the pass, period over, defense wins. So that is really impressive. Let's see. Another guy who I've written down a few times, and again, we must say before getting overhyped, the pads are not on. Mm-hmm. So a player like this is going to flash without the pads on. But Khalil Herbert, who I'll admit it. You know, I kind of saw a path forward for Khalil Herbert to maybe not be on this team in 2025. You look at the signing of DeAndre Swift, who we expect to have the majority of the snaps, to be a participant in the pass game. And then you have Roshan Johnson, who's a better pass blocker and more of a north-south bruising complement to DeAndre Swift. Where does that leave Khalil Herbert? You know, he has the burst, but DeAndre Swift has that. And he's not a very good pass protector. So I kind of thought Khalil Herbert might be the odd man out when you look at the long view of this running back room. But Khalil Herbert has run like a dude who says, don't forget about me. He has had, in my opinion, the most burst. He has had the shiftiness. You know, when he got hurt last year, it seems like maybe he never really got fully healthy, and he was never the same type of guy that he could have been if he was healthy. Well, now he looks totally healthy. So it's interesting where, again, I don't know how this is going to shake out long term. The pads are not on yet, but with guys running around in t-shirts and shorts and shells, he's looked explosive. And that's both on the outside and between the tackles.
I've been hearing Khalil Herbert quite a bit, man. And, you know, there is some talk, you know, I can't lie to you, it's reporters saying that he could be an odd man out in that, like you said at the beginning, you know, you saw a way that he couldn't make this team. We discussed it earlier in the offseason. We talked about it a few times on a few shows. I could see, you know, I'm not trying to poo-poo Khalil Herbert and run him out of the building, but I do think
I will. He's mid.
I do not think that there's a better running back on the market right now. And, you know, I don't know, man. I like to see Khalil take a step up and make it difficult for the Bears. That's what I'm basically want to say. But I digress. You still got more? You got more notes?
Yeah, I'm looking for some more good nugs for you.
You like nugs?
Yeah, who doesn't love some nice, tasty nugs? I'll try and find some dank ones in here for you. I'm just gonna start reading them off. 18-2 deep fade post. 6 great pursuit to the edge with a stop on 23. 17 not great. 18 in sack, then a holding on 85, then a throwaway. Not a good rep. Not a good rep for the offense. 18-15 deep cross over the middle for a touchdown, and then 27 an interception on the twos. And then here's what I'll say as I get to the team stuff. In the small practices that I've seen, when the Bears have gotten to the situational, to the 2-minute drills, to the move the balls, to the red zones, it has been the defense winning more often than not. And we've seen a little bend, don't break, where the offense can move into the 1st and goal situation, but then the defense holds tight and, you know, forces a 4th down incompletion or forces a field goal. So yeah, the defense has looked stout at times, and at times Caleb Williams has looked like a rookie. All of that is to be expected. This is a defense that is returning nearly all of its starters. You're missing Justin Jones and you're missing Eddie Jackson, but other than that, you got all the starters coming back. And you have a rookie quarterback with a new OC and an offense that is learning a completely new system. So that is to be expected. But, you know, Tremaine Edmonds has looked really solid in pass coverage. Like I said, Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon have all looked really solid. Like, the back end of this defense looks good. And then the pads aren't on, so we can't really judge the D linemen. But I'm sure you've heard about Jervon Dexter and his new body transformation. He does. Yeah. I mean, he looks way leaner. He looks way more athletic. And he sounds more confident. He sounds like he's ready for this opportunity. So, I mean, arrow was pointing up at the beginning of last year, and it is like still continuing to point up, up, up. This unit has big time expectations, and you can tell that like we are ready to meet those expectations.
Alex, have you gotten a good look? I saw a video, but somebody put one of the practice videos out. I think it was shout out to Maddie Dubs does Bears hype videos and just little short form content. And I happened to notice he went to over to the sled, and I saw Zach Pickens get up. He wasn't the same Zach Pickens as I was looking at last year. Like he had, he lost pretty much lost the stomach, lost the behind a little bit, just a little bit. But I saw a different Zach Pickens. Did you notice? Did you notice anything about it?
I have not seen him up close and personal yet. Jervon, they brought him into the media room for us to talk with him. So that's like, we're right next to him. And that's when you're like, oh, yeah, you look way different. But from the stands looking on the practice field, it's a little bit harder to tell, especially when they got helmets on and all that.
Right.
So I just haven't noticed, but that's just because we haven't had like a good up close look at Zach Pickens yet. But I'm going to have to look for that social media video to take a look.
Matty Dubs, I'm telling you, you'll see him getting up off that sled, and I'm telling you, that's not the same Zach Pickens. He looks slim, trim, and ready for the fight. Just saying. Right. I think that everybody ought to take note of that, man. I'm telling you, everybody's looking for. I believe Javon Dexter is going to be everything everybody thinks he is, but do not sleep on Zach Pickens. I think he's going to be an impact. But
what's interesting too when you look at this 3-tech situation, because everybody. The storyline has been who's going to be the number 2/number 3 D end and who is going to be the number 2 DT. And Andrew Billings has actually been playing some DT, some 3-tech in addition to nose tech, which kind of makes sense. And I kind of love it.
You guys know that before he came into the presser and said that?
Nah, because it's kind of hard to tell from our vantage point. Like, is he lined up over the guard or is he lined up over the center? From our vantage, we don't have the luxury of looking at cameras and film. We just have to see what we can see from the bleachers, so it is kind of hard to tell. So yeah, when he said that was a bit of an eye-opener, and he dented the pocket a whole lot as a nose tackle, and he was way more disrupted than I think anybody expected. So why not let him just blow up a guard and get into the backfield as a rotational DT?
Alex, what's funny about that is I watched him, and shout out to the Barroom Network. He was on I think the Barfly Tailgate show. He's some kin to a guy that's connected to us over here. One of my guys, Ryan. He said that he could play some 3-tech, and this was before we signed him. Next thing you know, a few months later, he was on the Bears, and I remembered that statement. Now here we are. I'm sitting here talking to you. He came in front of the presser and saying that they're giving him opportunity. That's a big, nimble man right there. It doesn't surprise me none whatsoever that he can penetrate. He's really quick off the ball as it is, and he's nimble. So those are the things you need: is quickness, and he's powerful as it is, and be nimble and be able to penetrate. He's everything you want. Yeah. I mean, so it doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
And now it's just waiting for the pads to come on, honestly. I saw somebody in the chat was saying, is he denting the pocket? Without the pads on, you just really cannot evaluate line play. It's just completely unfair. And the coaches even say that. They're like, the competition is not starting. Like, the evaluation is not starting until we put those pads on. So, yeah, I barely watch the interior guys, except if you're looking for like pre-snap issues, right? Pre-snap issues, miscommunication issues, that stuff you can obviously evaluate. But that interior line play, there's not too much to glean in shells.
Okay, guys, I got a little bit too excited, Trips. I apologize, Brian. I apologize, but you guys got something you want to ask Alex before we let him go?
Go ahead, Mr. B.
Hey, Alex, welcome to the show. Always great to hear from you. I got a couple of questions. Is there any undrafted free agents that I know with the little amount that you've been able to see, but is there any undrafted free agents that you've seen how they move or how they carry themselves? That, hey, this person may have a legitimate shot to make this team.
It's kind of early, but Austin Reed kind of comes to mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's far too early to say Tyson Bagent is not going to make this team, but I don't think it's a given that Tyson Bagent is going to be handed this backup job again. I think there's going to be competition all over the field, all over the roster, and I think that includes backup QB. So, I mean, Tyson Bagent was great and proved that he's an NFL player last year. I mean, he won 2 games. He won 2 NFL games. So, obviously, he is an NFL quarterback. But they're not just going to hand him that backup job, I don't believe. And if Austin Reed blows out the competition and is incredibly impressive, and if Bagent maybe regresses a little bit, takes a step back, I mean, nobody expected Tyson Bagent to make this team last year, and then all of a sudden the Bears cut P.J. Walker because it was evident. I mean, it was evident that Tyson Bagent was much better than P.J. Walker. If it is similarly evident that Austin Reed by the end of August is better than Tyson Bagent, I don't think the Bears are just going to hand him that job. The only one, and again, it's too early to evaluate this because he is an interior lineman, but I do have my eyes on Keith Randolph. I think he's an extremely intriguing prospect. I think the opportunity on the interior of the defensive line is there, especially when we're talking about, it's Gervon Dexter, it's Andrew Billings, it's Zach Pickens. I don't personally, I'm not expecting Byron Cowart to make like a huge impact on this team. So again, if Keith Randolph can put some good practices together, show he's understanding the concepts, and then performs well in joint practices, performs well in the preseason, I think there's a big opportunity for him to make this team.
Sounds good. I got one more question. I asked this last year because I honestly didn't see it or didn't, remember what. But have you heard with how NFL coaches are always trying to get an advantage or whatever? I don't remember any coaches being up in the booth to, call a game. And to me, it seems like that's an advantage because you're able to see whichever side of the ball or how the other team's doing. You get a different advantage as opposed to being on the field. Have they said that I would assume it would be like Eric Washington and maybe Coach Brown for the offense. Have they said whether they was going to do that or not, or do you know?
I actually don't know. But yeah, there's something to that. Now they do have the tape on their tablets almost immediately, so they can get that vantage point. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's something to be said for seeing it live, seeing it play out, and being able to react to it right away. I know last year when Flus was calling the defense and obviously being the head coach, he was on the sideline, and then Luke Getsy was calling on the sideline. I think it's mainly coach preference because some coaches like to have the pulse of their team, like to be able to talk to guys man to man on the sidelines. So I think it is going to come down to coach preference when it comes to whether they're going to be in the booth or on the sidelines.
Okay, well, like I said, I noticed that last year, and I hadn't heard anything about this year, and I really don't know enough or seen enough, Seattle, if Waldron did that or if Washington did that in Buffalo. But thank you very much for your answers.
Sure thing.
Go ahead.
I get you out of here on this kind of multi-part question, but it's all about team building and camaraderie. Like, how are the different rooms interacting with each other, like the wide receivers, the veterans, the rookies? Who's the biggest shit talkers, offense, defense? The quiet leaders, what's happening just within the team building dynamic?
Sure. So from what we've heard, Ryan Bates has kind of stepped up as a vocal leader on the offensive line as he's in that center competition. DeMarcus Walker remains one of the loudest dudes on the field. And then Brisker and Tyree Stevenson are also pretty big shit talkers, to be honest. In terms of the groups getting together, one thing I've noticed is that Gerald Everett in particular spends a lot of time with the wide receivers. You know, most positions kind of warm up as a position. They stretch in a line together. But Gerald Everett will stretch with the wide receivers, for instance. So, yeah, there is definitely some of that intermingling. I'm going to be honest. I haven't really focused on how the players are interacting on the sidelines. But that's good. Maybe I will. You know, maybe when the 3s or the 2s are up, I'll take a look at what the ones are doing on the sidelines, how they're interacting with each other. But typically I'm kind of watching what's happening on the field. So I can't really speak to how they're interacting and how the position groups are mingling on the sidelines per se. But Ryan Bates emerging as vocal leader of the offense.
Welcome news. Hey,
Yes.
hey, Alex, man, you know what? I so appreciate you being here to no ends, man. But before you get out of here, I gotta tell you something, man, because I got a little story. We got this guy named Don Burr that likes to troll all the Bears, Chicago Bears chats, and he likes to be. I love Don Burr, to be honest with you, but I gotta constantly remind him we should have beat them twice. Would you agree to that? We let them off the hook the first time. Would you agree to that?
The Bears probably should have beaten the Lions more than just that one other time. I think they've let the Lions off the hook not only in 2023, but in 2022 they let them off the hook too.
Yeah.
And I know, Don Burr, I see you in the chat in Football Night in Chicago, the digital editions. We see you out there.
So would you?
Do you have time to answer some chat questions real quick, Alex?
Sure, yeah. Let's do
that. Before you do that, dude, I gotta let me finish this.
Okay.
So would you agree that second time we saw them last year, we put some pretty good knots upside their head, right? Would you agree to that?
I would say the Bears, yes. The Bears, for whatever reason, seem to match up really well against the Lions. And they give the Lions a lot of trouble.
So this is how I remind Don Burr of that.
I don't know if they walloped them that bad. But hey, you know, the Lions obviously look like one of the best teams in the NFC, and I cannot explain it. but the Bears give them trouble.
My bad. I had to get that in there. But go ahead. My guy, the dude, had a couple of questions from the chat that he wanted to throw in there. Nick, you ready to do that? Go ahead. Put whatever you want up there. Bellissimo asks, Alex, if you were the OC based on what you've seen so far, who's your starting O-line, D-lines as of right now, and who's the first rotation on the D-line?
Okay. So this is not based on evaluations in training camp because, again, they are not wearing pads. It is impossible to tell. But based on my thoughts, I'm lining up Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, Nate Davis, and then Darnell Wright. Defensive line, it's going to be Montez Sweat, Jervon Dexter, Andrew Billings, and then DeMarcus Walker. And then the first rotation, I think right now I've got it Jacob Martin as your third DE. And then I think DeMarcus Walker is maybe my third or my second, my rotational 3 tech if we're going NASCAR package. And Zach Pickens, I do still think might be the backup nose tackle more often than not, but that's going to be a huge question mark. And that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. Can Zach Pickens show off more of that positional versatility? Can he show up as the number 2 nose tackle and the number 2 3 tech when needed, right? Can he slot in based on whatever look, whatever package, whatever they want to do? If Jervon needs a blow, throw him in at 3 tech. If Billings needs a blow, throw him in at nose. I think that could be really big for Pickens. But that is pretty much how I've got it right now on July 24th, where the Bears have not put on pads yet.
So apparently, Alex, I don't know. I seen this and I can't remember who said it, Nick. If you want to put it up, I started, I believe. Somebody wanted to get a prediction, a schedule prediction, win-loss prediction from you. My guy Dante Purify. My bad.
I I did this on the Under Center podcast, and I think I've done it on FNIC as well. And I forget the exact wins and losses that I assigned, like on a week by week basis, but I pretty much always come down to 9 and 8, which I'm not sure is going to be enough to make the playoffs in a loaded NFC South or NFC North. NFC South. What the hell am I talking about? In a loaded NFC North. But I think they can get to 9 wins. And then will they get that 10th win? Will they get that surprise one? I guess my thinking on it when I'm doing it, I'm not looking at their ceiling, I'm looking at their floor. So to me, the floor feels like 9 wins. Interpret that however you will. I think they're going to be closer to 9 wins, though, or 10 wins than they are to 12 or 13 wins.
You see Bellissimo right there, right in your face.
10-7. Oh, Tyreek Stevenson over under. I was looking in the chat. I was looking at the wrong thing, not the lower third. Tyreek Stevenson over under interceptions, 4.5. That's a lot, man. 5 interceptions is a bunch. 4 interceptions would be an incredible season. It is interesting, though, because he's going to get more targets because Jalen Johnson is so good. I think you set an incredible line. I'm going to take the under, and I'm going to take the exacta, actually. I'm going to sprinkle some money on the exacta. Exactly 4 interceptions.
I'm not mad at that. I do think he's going to have opportunity. I think you said it. You said a mouthful with Jalen being the guy that's kind of being avoided by offensive coordinators. He might get those opportunities, and will he take advantage of them is more the question to answer, I believe, and hopefully he'll grab them. So, man, with that being said, Alex, we got a couple questions in from the chat. You guys that didn't get your questions in, we apologize for that. He promised 20 to 30 minutes, and he stayed 42. So,
and you know what? Tweet at me. I love interacting with people on social media. You can find me on Twitter if you find me on Instagram, that too. I'm happy to respond to your questions there. We can extend this Nomad at Night to like a Nomad at Night. I'll answer some more questions after dinner.
I might don't be surprised like that. If actually Nomad has some questions for you, because I got some thoughts. I want to, it's some guys that I want to see if you can take a bird's eye view on for me. You know what I mean? Some guys I'm paying. So you spoke on Jacob Martin. That would have been the first guy that I would have mentioned. Also, Reddy Stewart. I just want to see what he looks like in pads. Is he going to be a guy that can challenge one of the slot corners for a job? Guys like that.
Sure. Well, to answer that question very briefly, I haven't written his number down, I don't think. Right now, Kyler Gordon's looked really good. Greg Stroman continues to look good. And then same with Josh Blackwell, who is now healthy again. Josh Blackwell has made some noticeable plays, and I want to say Stroman got an interception again, and he just seems to always rise to the occasion whenever called upon. So I think the Bears are kind of set at slot corner with those 3 guys.
Hey, Josh, before you get out of here, I said Josh.
My colleague.
Josh Blackwell.
Josh Blackwell.
Yeah. Listen, let everybody know what you're doing, what's going on. One more time, just tell them how to get at you on social media so that people know what you're doing and what's going on with you.
Absolutely. So you can read all my articles on NBCSportsChicago.com. We've also got the Under Center podcast. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. We're on YouTube. And my socials, you will find me at Alex Shapiro NBCS on Twitter and ASHAP NBCS on Instagram, which is new for me. I'm new to Insta. Be nice to me, please. I'm still figuring out the platform. I don't know what to share exactly, to be honest, but it's kind of fun.
I bet we're new to it too. So check us out over on Instagram too. With that being said, thank you, Alex. NBC Sports Chicago beat writer, man. Fast. The numbers say you're the favorite. They love it when you come on this show. You in that notebook, man. I'm telling you, I got to put my mind on that, man. We got to find a way to really emphasize that. Alex Shapiro on the notebook from NBC Sports Chicago, man. Thank you for coming on, and I can't wait to have you on next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Since you brought up the notebook, here's one more. On a 3rd and 10, there was a check down to Roshan Johnson for 7 yards, and that's what I'm going to leave you with. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, you and the lady, enjoy your night, Alex, man.
Thank you. You all have a great rest of your show, too.
Right on, Alex.
That's Alex Shapiro from NBC Sports Chicago, one of my favorites, man. I ain't kidding you, man.
Alex went to the motherland, dog, or at least our motherland.
Before us.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Man, dude comes in, man. You know, I'm gonna say something about Alex Shapiro. You know, you got beat writers out there, and I'm not gonna accuse anybody of anything, but some of them, you know, I'm pretty sure have a pretty good ego about themselves because there's a lot of podcasts out here, and everybody's, you know, pegging them to come on their show. Man, Alex is gracious as he can be. If I speak to Alex on social media, if I get at him in a DM and he can't do something right at that moment, he'll be like, "Hey man, Nomad, thanks for checking me out, man. Hey, I can't do it right now because I got this, that, and the other going on." But he said, "Listen, look for me around this date, and I'll come on your show." And so for that, I can't do nothing but take my hat off to that guy. He's humble. He's got good energy, man, and people just love him when he comes on the show, man. So I appreciate him to the nth degree.
I was going to throw that in too. He's a very nice guy. He's great at his job. To me, he is a Bears fan that happens to be a reporter too.
And also, Nick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you caught me right in the flow. You caught me right in the flow while I was getting ready to get that drop on Don. I had to get it off, man. I couldn't help it. He was talking too much shit in the chat. I see Nick's back there cracking up. But how you been doing, Trips, man? How's everything going over there on Chef Trips?
Well, it's going, you know, developing the menu as it's building. We got the weekly thing going out. We had a few technical difficulties, but we'll be back up and running with that. Then we have the soft opening for Trip. He's doing like a workout exercise thing. And then, you know, Coach Trippin is going to be stepping in to help, you know, guide him and anybody who wants to participate in that get healthy kind of journey kind of thing. Keep your physicals oiled up in good condition and ready to go into activity if necessary kind of thing. So we've been building it up, you know, and it's coming. It's coming, baby. So yeah, sports Chicago style. That's the website, the channel, and all the socials. So that's we putting it down and just looking forward to getting the pads popping and the season rolling. Really, that's really what's happening.
So let me give you a shout out right quick, man, because on the fly, kids let me know that he was getting ready to take his son off to college and get him set up and going, and he wasn't going to be able to make the show tonight. So in the chat on the last show, I asked Trip if he didn't mind coming on and fill in for him. And right away, Trips let me know it's cool, man. I'll do it. So without question, man, thank you for being here, man. That's the kind of love we got going on, man. It's that reciprocal stuff going on. But Trip, I got to get you a Nomad Network t-shirt. And not only that, I think we ought to get you a logo going on, man. Or if you got a logo going on, maybe we need to put that in the shop too, because as you can see up there, Brian is rocking that shit. Brian is rocking that Nomad Network logo.
And we're talking t-shirts. We're talking t-shirts.
Talking about. That's what I'm talking about, dog.
The gold standard, baby.
That's
right
here.
What does that say? Football Chicago style? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
And then Brian got the logo going on. Okay.
Yeah, you got to lean a little bit forward, Brian. All we see is stomach.
I'm in a recliner and I'm old and fat. But yeah, by all means, show your nomaniac pride, your fandom. Be proud. And if they don't like it, they can go piss up a rope.
Man, yeah, seriously though, Trips, if you want to, proceeds will go all to you, man. I won't ask for nothing for that. You just put it in there and people buy it. I'll send you the money, Cash App, whatever you want to do. Just get it out there. You know what I mean? Just give me the logo. We'll get it on a shirt. And if you make some sales, we're gonna send it to you. I'm sure some people gonna buy your stuff, man.
All right. We'll get it in the works. Get it popping.
Yeah, man. So what y'all think of that, man? We'll start with Brian, man. Did Alex say some things today during the show that stuck out to you?
Like I said, anytime when Alex comes on, it's a wonderful treat. Like I said, he's a super nice guy, very informative. And to me, something that, we talked about on our afternoon show a little bit was because Caleb is a rookie, I would want the Bears to run a little bit more and work on the short to intermediate passes, get those down. Once you get comfortable with those and doing those, the long passes will come. I know everybody likes, seeing the bombs and all like that. And there is a time and place, in a game for that to happen. But get those down. Some of the players he talked about, we all seen that Gravon, he's gotten in tremendous shape. And I like that for the simple fact he's taking his career serious. And I think he'll have a breakout season. Stevenson, to me, I think that kid, what we saw his last 6 games, that's going to be the norm. Edmonds, I think last year, coming to a new team, being surrounded, with new players and all like that, and being hurt, he got off to a slow start. If you looked at his numbers, like 113 tacks, 4 interceptions, I forget how many sacks that he had. I mean, that's pretty good numbers. Is what, it got paid for? Probably not. I mean, Edwards had, better, but I think Edmonds, and especially getting Coach Washington on his team, who he's worked with, a familiar face, I think that'll be tremendous for the defense in a whole. So, Alex shared a lot of good nuggets, and I appreciate him sharing his time to come on here. Trips?
So Don gonna try to kick me in the groin, talking about Nomad, he gonna cop a shirt when he hit the Powerball. That's all right, man.
Wow. I was kind of digging the not one particular player like Bates. That's nice to hear for the offensive line, like a general up there. But the defensive line rotation, and it doesn't look like we really need. I mean, it's like so many people have a chubby for Ngakoue. And Poles, came out and was like, yeah, I think we good. And it's like, 9, 10 wins. Do we really need to sign, Ngakoue? Do we want to develop the guys that we got? And it looks like that we have enough of a rotation developing now that there's, what's the saying, that there's competition to make this team. And so the roster spots are few and far between. And there are enough people on this roster right now, enough guys to compete for those spots. And that, that sounded like kind of what I was hearing. But now that all that may go straight to shit when the pads go on.
Yeah.
So, I reserve judgment.
You know what's funny about that, Trips? Because I was on Coach T's show yesterday. And, privately, I've been thinking about that for about 2 weeks, about, the guys that we have on the roster. So you got, of course, you got Montez Sweat, you got Dominique Robinson, you got rookie Austin Booker, you got Jacob Martin, you got, let me think, the kid number 52, I can't think, he's from Notre Dame. A couple other guys we got on this roster. Jamry Chroma, he's going to be an inside-outside guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we were talking about on the show yesterday is it's possible. It is possible that they have the players within the building right now to really, really make a stamp over there on the other side of Montez Sweat, because they got a variation of skill sets and body types. So, like, we didn't have a couple of guys that we can really drop off into a zone that looks like he's going to rush, that can fall back into a flat and make a play on the ball. We didn't have a guy. We had a couple of dudes that Flus forced to go back there and made us look bad. Like Justin Jones and shit like that. We've got guys, Austin Booker being one, Jacob Martin being another, maybe one more guy that I can think of, that we've got guys that can be multiple. And so I do believe, so I said on Twitter, I don't know if you guys saw it, it wouldn't surprise me that he waits 3 to 4 practices in, pass practices in, and waits until, he gets the evaluation from Eric Washington. All right, do we need anything? Or are you good with these guys? Do you think you can keep these guys where you need them to be. And he sounded confident that he felt good about the guys on the roster. Now, he left it open that, let me observe them when they put the pads on come Friday, Saturday, first couple of days. But it's possible that we do have the guys in the locker room to make some noise on the other side. We might not need to sign that veteran edge rusher. We might have enough. What do you think about that?
Well, I did see that on Twitter. I agree with you 1,000%. My thing is, just because the Bears have $12 million, over the cap, that don't mean you have to just rush out and sign it. Obviously, I mean, I think we're all in agreement. If we pick what we think right as this moment, the weak spot, you like to get another defensive end opposite of Sweat. Let the camp, work its way out and all like that. That way, if the season is going good, and if you need a player by the time the buy and trade deadline pops up, then you can, make your adjustments and go after that player. And also by the same total, if you're to sign somebody, and I'm with Tretz, I wasn't impressed with Yannick, not curb stomping the guy, but I just wasn't, impressed with him. But who's to say, and, knock on wood, this don't happen, but it is football. You have an injury and it's at another position. You spent that money getting that up, and yeah, you build it up, but because of this injury, if you would have, waited out, gave the young guys a chance, and also see what Coach Washington brings to the table, what kind of adjustments they're going to make. To me, that just seems like the smarter route. Trips, what do you think?
Before you answer that, Trips, let me say this to you. There's two position groups that don't really benefit from getting a great evaluation without pads, and that's the offense and defensive line.
True.
You can't really evaluate them without pads. So when the pads come on, the evaluation process, they're going to put the magnifying glass on those guys when the pads come on. Because why? You don't really know what you have. You got guys that were NFL veterans that what you got on film. But then you got those college guys that we just brought in here that you can't really evaluate until you put the pads on. So, padless football is only good for the quarterback, receivers, and the secondary for the most part, kickers and punters. That's it.
That's why I brought up that question to Alex about it. Was there any undrafted free agents that may have stood out? And I realize with just the short amount of time that practice is banned, I mean, it can't. But you sometimes just how a player carries themselves, and it's, hey, wait a minute, this guy, I'm going to keep an eye on him. Anyway, didn't mean to interrupt you, Trips. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think, it's, speaking of offensive and defensive line, you want the same starting five on the offensive line consistently, whereas the defensive line, you need a 8-man rotation. And it's like, wow, the evolution of the game to where now you have so specialized that you can take a Booker because he's going to get 15 snaps a game in these down and distances in these situations. And then you have the versatility of the D-line that we are developing now because the power of post compels you, that they can go inside, outside, come around. Who's that, Brown? So it's just nice what we got going, and I'm feeling it.
So Cornelius just asked, when is the first? I think, and I'm saying it's either the 4th or the 6th. I just put that in the chat. He's asking when the first day of Hard Knocks is.
And what channel that come on?
HBO Max.
If somebody got a password, go ahead and DM me.
Yeah,
I might have to hook you up, man. I just bought it 2 days ago, as a matter of fact. You catch them things, man. Sometimes you get it, in the off season when they don't have a really, really highly produced show. That's not, people ain't too excited about what's coming out for a few months. They'll give it to you for free. But then when they know they got a big product like Hard Knocks, they're gonna jack it up a little bit. So it ain't that much, man. But quit being a tight ass trip and go get HBO.
Oh no, actually, I know the spot where they got the hookup. So
actually, Trip, you know something, man? I shouldn't say this on air, but I'll say it. Get the. You got a Fire Stick?
That's what I was gonna. Same thing. I was just keeping my mouth shut until we got in the green room.
So quietly, I'll just say Fire Stick, new Cody app, the 2024 version. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't say nothing else, Brian, because you're gonna start blabbing and get us in trouble.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Not.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's out there.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Right. But, I'll say it. I'll go bootleg.
I ain't want to say that, Trip, but
well, I didn't say you didn't say that. I said
you gonna go pirate. You do it on your own. But how about this?
I mean, Hustle Man from the 5th floor, he be having hookups.
Hey, Trips, I'll give you another idea when we talk in the back.
Right on.
Yeah. Hey, look, man. You know what stuck out to me? He said a lot. 2 things stuck out to me. 2 really big things stuck out to me. Number one was it's basically the 2 positions that people have the most question marks about. If you paid attention to, you saw him perk up when he said Jacob Martin, right? That stuck out, right? You didn't. I don't know if you guys really noticed, but he said Ryan Bates.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just leave it there and let you guys talk. I ain't gonna take no meat off the bone.
When he said that, I think it was yesterday. See, the day is Wednesday. It was either yesterday or Monday, where I guess Tevin was doing a press conference and all like that, and he brought that up too. That Bates has either been open to or has exerted himself as being a leader of the offense. And I find that very interesting, since he's probably, I don't think he's the oldest one, but he's near the top. Obviously, Tevin, as far as being a Bear, he's got squatters' rights on that. But Bates, and also coming from Buffalo, I mean, it hadn't worked out for Buffalo, but they have, at the beginning of the year, that you see the odds the past couple of years, but Buffalo's in contention.
So let me argue with Michael Copeland. Not argue, but let me interject that thought. I would just say this, Michael, that if Jacob Martin doesn't make the team, 2 things happen. That means Dominique Robinson took a significant step, number 1. Number 2 is they saw something either on the free agent market, which we know what all that product is, or somebody got cut during camp because of salary cap reasons or something like that. A really good player that, can bring some value to the team. Other than that, if there's not a player that's better than Jacob Martin, I know he hasn't put up significant numbers in box scores. I know that. But that guy gets around that edge, and in a blur too. What that guy's scary for a quarterback and offensive tackles. When he gets around that corner so fast, he doesn't have to necessarily be the guy that makes that play, per se. But he's making that play by way of moving that quarterback going left or making him slide up into the pocket. Other guys make plays off of that. And so I get what you're saying. You don't see the box numbers. You don't see the box numbers. But what I see on film is a guy that gets around that edge and makes his presence known, and you have to deal with him. And we don't have a guy outside of Montez Sweat that does that consistently. And so if you were to ask me that who is your second best pass rusher on this team that hits the edge and gets around that coin and makes that turn on the quarterback, I'm telling you right now without blinking, is Jacob Martin right now. As of right now, as this roster consists of what it is. I'm telling you now, Jacob Martin is the best guy we have outside of Montez Sweat about getting around the corner. I'm just gonna tell you.
You bring up a great point, Nomad, in that you, as a fan, don't get stuck on analytics and box scores, because there's things that players do that makes the other guys on the team that can do.
Intangibles.
Yeah, intangibles. A perfect example. Look at TJ Edwards. Look at his RAS score. Check out, his height, weight, and speed. That's not very impressive. Then look at his production. It works both ways. Billings isn't going to light up, the box score, stat sheet, whatever you want to go by. But look how much better he makes his teammates. So, I mean, it's two-way street. Just, keep an open mind, please.
Back to Bates. I like, speaking of intangibles, the leadership qualities that Alex was saying that he's displaying. Because I remember him playing in Buffalo, and he was respected out there.
Yes.
By his teammates, by the fans. They liked the way he played. He was tough. He was gritty. He was smart. And, Poles has been after him for a minute since he got here. And it was like he finessed him. He did like, whoa, we give you this pick. You give us him. Then you give us that pick back. And then we'll miss future drafts. And, Poles doing his thing. But as far as Bates goes, it would be cool if he could solidify the center of that offensive line and then have Shelton, the veteran, backing him up, which is a night and day difference better than what we've had in the past few years. So it's like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
So, Michael, when you say Martin isn't a guy, when you say that, I get what you mean. Let's just start there. I get what you mean. And when you mean by he's not a guy, he's not like that dude that, okay, you got a game plan to deal with him. Mm-hmm. No, he's not that. You're absolutely right. I think that's what you're trying to say to me. But when you're not that guy, but you are effective at something. Well, you know what Montez Sweat is really good at? Really denting and really caving a side in with that long arm stab and crushing that offensive tackle. So he's gonna come at an angle that's going to either force that quarterback to step up or kind of roll back a little bit and try to find a little bit more time. If he steps up, I don't see Jacob Martin being that big of a deal. But in the event that you have one of those quarterbacks that kind of tries to roll out, create a little bit of time and space, he's going to run into a guy like Jacob Martin. So I can see what I'm explaining to you, Michael, is I can see how someone like Jacob Martin complements a Montez Sweat. And to add to that, for a long time in, the 4-3 zone-based scheme, the front, you've always had a different skill set. You've had a guy like Montez Sweat, that guy that really commands a whole lot of attention, and then you have a different skill set on the other side. So let's just say you have a Julius Peppers on one side of the ball, and on the other side you have a Mark Anderson or something like that. Two different body types, two different skill sets, but complement one another. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying more or less than anything. You're right. He's not a guy, or he'd be probably $100 million man by now. But no, you're right. But he can bring something to the table. I do believe he can fit this rotation. Anybody?
Oh, I agree with you. And I yapped long enough, Trips.
Yeah, put some pads on. Let's,
I knew I'd get a straight answer from you.
Yeah, hold on. Michael's coming back at me. He said he's not a guy that bends the edge consistently.
How the hell does he know this? We ain't seen these boys playing and playing yet. How do we know?
I know he bends the curve consistently.
We won't wait. What's today? Wednesday? And when they start not playing, but hitting Friday?
Yep.
Yeah. So how about this, Michael? We'll come back to the table and talk about this a little bit more, after they put the pads on Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a fun couple of days. I do believe that we're probably going to have to we're definitely doing a show Sunday. How about that? I don't want to put nobody in handcuffs and twist no arms because I don't know what kind of crew we're gonna have and who's available. But I know we're doing the show Sunday, and Braggs is gonna be on. Braggs from CHGO, and so that's gonna be a cool ass show right there. But hopefully in between, go ahead, Brian. Look like you want to
Yeah,
say.
I want to answer or ask Michael a question because he brings up a great point. Talked about been playing for 7 years. Okay, if you honestly believe that coaching makes a difference, this is a new coaching. Will that rocket him up to stardom? Probably not. But superstardom is not what the Bears need. They just need another person that can disrupt.
He's saying he just doesn't want us. Let me put that comment up. He doesn't want everybody to get hyped for nothing. I get it. I get it. Every year there's a guy or two that the fan base gets pretty excited about. They see a few flashes here and there. I think they signed Jake Martin for a reason. They were looking for something, and I think he checks the box. I think
that's why I'm more of the camp of just let kids play, see who wants it.
Yes,
because not once in a good way tonight has really Dominique Robinson's name come up. So it's like, oh, so hey.
Trips. How about this, Trips? Would you accuse Montez Sweat of being a speed rusher or a power rusher?
He's more of a power rusher who can do it with speed.
Yeah.
So what would you want on the opposite side of that? Somebody that's leaning more power rusher. What would you want on the opposite side of that?
Speed.
Well, you want the yin and the yang, of course.
Exactly.
Because if you have power rusher that you have to double team, and then someplace along that interior of the line where either Billings or Pickens or Dexter or Walker, somebody else got to be double teamed up in there. We got to have that. And so whoever's on that opposite defensive end side is now got to beat that man coverage because he's going to be getting that. And so whoever that is, I got no preferences. I just want the best players to play.
Trips, while you talking, let me ask you this one question that I spoke to Alex about while you guys were off screen. He mentioned that that they were catering kind of to the quick game. We know as much as big a Justin Fields fans as people were, he had I would just say about a second slower release than your average quarterback. He had kind of a wind up. So when it came to quick game, he wasn't as effective as your average NFL quarterback. That ball just didn't come out as fast as your regular quarterback. And all you need is a split second before a DB or a linebacker sees it and can break on it, right? And so they're emphasizing this kid's strengths and trying to play into that. What did you think about that when he confirmed it?
Well, yeah, I mean, because Justin is a good kid and all, but it's so goddamn frustrating for him to have to see the receiver open, then take that long ass wind up delivery and throw that he had. And it's like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. And it usually wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, dog, throw the ball. And then he just wouldn't throw the damn ball, and I don't know why. I just don't know why. And it was so damn frustrating.
I just don't think the guy has an idea how to really play quarterback like that. I think he's an elite talent, but I just don't think he gets it. I just think he overcomplicates it. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think he had enough reps doing it properly, like growing up. So like him always trying to just be like the alpha athlete kind of failed him in the long run. That's what I think about him. Hopefully Arthur Smith can change that in Pittsburgh, but I doubt that. I don't know.
Well, that's what it would look like was Justin always struck me as he was the best player on the field, whatever level he was playing at. And if he was surrounded by talent, they could do, whatever. But Caleb Williams looks like, from the reports, that he's a quarterback.
Mhm.
You know, that, you know, he processes quickly and he releases quickly. And so he's more of a quarterback than an athlete, even though he's athletic. And then the whole different throwing angles and the platforms that he can throw from, you know, that's going to come in handy, because something that was also mentioned is that he is short behind that damn line, and that sometimes the receivers had issues finding him, you know, to know if the ball was coming their way, because he's, you know, behind that offensive line, because he's, you know, what, 6'1", and some of those offensive linemen are what, 6'6", 6'5".
Yeah.
So, you know, that's going to be a thing. And so that's a progressive thing to, you know, learn how to overcome. But from early reports, he is a actual quarterback.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have mentioned Justin Fields, but since he came up, you know, we were just doing comparisons. What I was pointing out is basically, you know, the argument I've been having for weeks here, not argument, but I've been kind of putting my stake in the ground about this, is I don't want to see another talent come in here as talented as that kid is and them try to force a square peg into a round hole. Find what the guy does well and really emphasize it is what I'm saying. If it's not what, you know, Bears fans or whoever is out on the perimeter like us predicting what Shane Waldron is going to do with this kid, if it doesn't turn out to be that, that ain't nothing to criticize Shane Waldron about. Shane Waldron is up close and personal with this cat. He's seeing the intro, you know, just the, you know, what he's really good at and what he's not. He's seeing the polar opposite of what he might have in mind versus what he's good at. You know what I mean? And so I think we should be at that phase. And I'm just talking about, I'm talking in generalities as a Bears fan. I think we ought to just back off and let this guy process and find a groove with this young kid. And whatever comes out of it, hopefully, is something that really, really suits him and makes him comfortable. And if it's not exactly what we think it's going to be, I think as fans, I think we ought to get okay with it, because that makes me sick to my stomach thinking about, you know, trying to force something out of a kid just because it's a part of what your playbook and what your philosophy is. You know, that's not fair to the quarterback. What's fair to the quarterback is finding a guy that yokes with that quarterback, an offensive coordinator that can visualize after sitting with this kid long enough and watching him on the field, and can visualize what plays work and what plays don't, what plays he'll really excel at and the plays he'll struggle with. Why fuck around with the struggle? Why fuck around with the struggle? No need.
Well, I agree with you 100% on that, Nomad. And also keep in mind, and I'm not trying to praise or insult or whatever anybody, but I mean, we're going from a Pee Wee League inexperienced, hard-headed OC to an experienced NFL OC. That has to come into play as well.
Yeah. So I just want to see, you know, like I say all the time, you know, he's our quarterback. I think he's extremely dynamic with that arm. I think he's got a lot of upside. And, you know, not only that, they've added pieces that can really emphasize and really make it not that difficult for this young cat. You know, they added a piece or two to the offensive line. Ryan Bates, I circle him. I think he was a steal of the offseason. I think he, Jacob Martin, a couple other guys we have on the roster right now, we got in I ain't going to mention Kevin Byard. I think he was the steal of the offseason for $9 million. But I'll let that shit'll play out it'll wash out in the flush. But listen, we got something going on here, man, and it's just a matter of time. I think the success comes in the amount of time it takes Shane Waldron to yoke with Caleb Williams, find a groove with Caleb Williams and what he's really, really good at, and what's executing and what's flowing really well, and finding their style. You know what I mean? I think I heard one of the coaches mention that on a presser. They're trying to find their identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Caleb Williams. They had an identity last year with the quarterback we had, but find the identity with this kid. And so I
Well,
think
but we got to remember that's every position. Well, just the offense. The offensive line has a new center. Davis is now inserted. Right second year. Is Braxton in, out? Is he hurt? Who knows? They need to develop their identity. Waldron and Caleb need to develop their identity. Everybody needs to figure out how they fit into their piece before they can fit into this other piece. And so we got to give it time because it's a totally new offense, rookie quarterback. But we have the veterans around him on the receiving core, on the offensive line to be supportive. We have the running game to lean on. And if Everett's out there, running routes with wide receivers, he's not here to block. That's Komet. And then, he can leak out. And so the supporting cast is there. It's just everybody needs to, figure out, oh, okay, you like to go there. It's going to be a learning process, a gelling time.
And it's still early.
Very early. We ain't even started the season. It's a lot of stuff that, me knowing what, I don't know what install is for a quarterback. So let me be clear about that. I've seen install multiple times. I know what it is on two levels, high school and college. And that's all my experience can speak from, other than my friends that have played professional football. So everything that you hear me say as far as the NFL level, it comes from a place. I know what I know in college, and it's not that much different in the NFL other than you getting paid money, and it's just, more to it. You know what I mean? The speed goes up, the power goes up, and the difference between the college game and the NFL game is significant. I'm not acting like, just because I played college football, I know everything about football. I tell you where I go and lean when I know something, when I need to know something specific, something like I might go call one of my guys and one of my ex-teammates and be like, hey man, when you do this, how much different is it than when we were in college? And he might say, you know what, man, when you lined up, you gave a dude 3-yard separation when we was in college. And that's pretty tight. You're gonna have to get up one more yard, or that dude gonna take the inside on you every time because he's faster than everybody you dealt with in college. Stuff like that. And so the difference in the college game and the pro game, I just listen. I'll say it wide open. I never played pro football, but I do know the game. And so what I try to do on this show with you guys is try to point out some of the nuances that people may or may not be paying attention to. The game is different. The game speed for Caleb Williams and these rookies is going to be different right away. And so how long it takes them to acclimate to the NFL game speed and how sudden that when that ball snaps, how sudden everything happens, and that 1001, 1002, 1003 happens is a lot faster than it is in college. And so he's got to get that shit in his head. He's got to get that clock in his head. And, internally, he's got to get that going on. And how fast he gets from A to B with that part of it, I think will determine a lot of his success. Anybody got anything to say to that?
I agree with you. Treps?
Yeah, it's just going to take reps.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And so one last thing we'll discuss before we get out of here is Trips, I never got to get your take on how many reps you want to see this kid. I think you might have mentioned it on the last time you was on here, but there's a little bar that got set for, I think, what's his name? CJ Stroud and those guys, 45, 55 reps somewhere in that department in preseason. What do you want to see this young rookie land as far as reps, or you just want to feel it and see if he's getting this shit or not? Maybe you take him out earlier.
Well, I mean, he's the unadulterated number one starting quarterback. He may not look the best, and I don't think that we're going to hurt his confidence. So get his ass out there, play as much as Coach Waldron wants to, or Coach Flus wants to, to keep everybody healthy and fresh, but get as many reps as possible to get as many reps as possible. I mean, what is he learning on the sidelines, in these exhibition games that, he's going to learn from, Bajent or Rippon or Austin Reed, whoever. So get your ass out there and play. Let's go.
So Calvin Swanson. Shout out to Calvin Swanson for the question for you, Trip. Trip, have you done a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner on the podcast?
No, because I haven't been during those holidays. But maybe I'll have Chef Trips look into that, for the kitchens over there, Shea Trips, because I know they do a bustling holiday extravaganza kind of thing. So maybe they'll start recording that stuff as well.
So, Trip, you gonna make all that whole big ass meal? You gonna be one of them people with a whole bunch of dressing and leftover?
I mean, well, it's
that shit for 2 weeks.
Get the food saver, buddy, for New Year's.
It's a cultural thing. It's like that's when you have all that heavy shit, all at one time. The stuff and the mac and cheese and the green bean casseroles and the pies and the cakes. It's like, why don't we spread that out a little bit?
Hey, Trip, at first, after a couple of days, you just eat turkey. The next thing you know is turkey soup. Next thing you know is turkey sandwiches. Then it's turkey salad. All that shit.
And then you freeze it, and then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna save the rest for turkey pot pies. Or put the rest in and put the carcass in and make a nice turkey stock.
Hell, with just those 2 dinners, you got 4 or 5 months worth of meals you can.
Yeah.
So.
And then it's just, I mean, I get it. It's all about family, really. But just traditionally, that's when you eat those foods. And, as we age, and we know we don't really need to be eating that shit, but that shit tastes good. And it's like, well, I want to enjoy something, something, make it a little healthier if you can. And it may lose some of the flavor, but it's good enough.
Hey, you know how it is, and I'm not casting no dispersions on any other community, but I know how it is in the Black community. We ain't no food wasters for the most part. No. So, hey, you make a couple turkeys and all that shit didn't get ate. Guess what? All your meals for the next 2 damn weeks gonna come off a damn turkey or something. Whatever's in that damn refrigerator, you gonna eat it.
That's why I recommend getting you a food saver, where vacuum seals it.
Oh, dog, that goddamn product right there might be the best thing since sliced bread. It's for real. Yes. Like since they started learning how to slice bread, that might be the best thing ever. Because that shit, I don't know if you got one, but that food saver.
Yes.
Woo.
I would say that in the Instapot.
Instapot is a good product. Instapot is a very good product. Yeah, all that being said, man, I can talk, we can go on and on and on tonight, man. But
yeah, you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I'm getting myself hungry talking this. That's Calvin, man. Calvin Swanson, man, you something else for even bringing that up. You got me all hungry thinking about
thanks, Calvin.
Dressing and cranberry sauce and all that shit. Got me going, man. I like that kind of shit. Macaroni and cheese. I don't eat all that shit no more, man. Really, I don't. I might take a small portion of it when I go over to family, eat a little bit of it, and that's it. I ain't no carbs guy no more, man. I'm really, really conscious about my diet these days.
Yeah, you still gotta enjoy a little something every now and then that you enjoy.
Calvin saying he missed your presence here, Trip. You always keep it real. All you guys do.
Thank you.
Right on. That's all love, Calvin. Right on. All the no maniacs out there in the chat as I'm filling in for kids. Let me do a little kids thing. So for everyone in the chat, they're on the Nomad Network. Hold on, okay. Samuel, Illini, Calvin, Dr. Earl, nice. Crimson, what up? Joseph, Don, J. Grizz, Plank, Victor, Who am I missing, y'all? I'm going down the line here. Cornelius, Cliffy out there with his nipples out. Let's see. What's up, Dante, Aunt Maz, Calvin? And why is he sharing that his nipples are out in the chat? I don't know, but he did. Yeah,
he's in Florida with 2 fans on him.
Berlissimo, John, Michael, Copeland. If I skipped you, I'm sorry. Because I'm looking up into the light here. Richard.
Is Don Burr still in there?
Yeah, the Bears. Yeah, Don. But hey, man, look.
Don still in there?
There is content about the Chicago Bears. Don Burr is in the place to be.
And so just to remind him what he got coming up. Yeah, boy. We got something for you, man. We got something for you. But real quick, man, before we get ready to close this thing out, I got this for you.
So what is that? Fantasy? What is that?
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So for all you fantasy head motherfuckers out there that want to know how to play this damn thing or how to get involved, anybody that wants to play this thing, if you want to play free
in there, y'all. Play with the dude.
If you want to play free 99, you want to do the play-in league. I keep getting questions on how do you sign up. I just showed you. Where are we?
Right
We're at the Nomad Network website.
Right there.
We're at the Nomad Network website where you see all this stuff. And right at the very beginning of the website, it's right there as soon as you go to the-nomad-network.com website. As soon as you go in there, you'll see the link right here where you see my you see that? bit.ly/superflex free 99 if you want to sign up and play in Kids Superflex League. To me, I think you ought to, if you got to wait till you get paid or however long you need to wait to get in there, I think I'd hurry up and get in that $60 league if you want to win some money. But the free 99, the guys that want to play and don't want to have to spend no money, or ladies, whoever wants to do what, it's a free 99 league right here, 0 year. Sign up now. He's got the scan codes right here. And so anybody that wants to know how to sign up and play in the league, ask no more. Just go to the-nomad-network.com. And as soon as you get here, this is what you're going to see. And the link is right there where you see my little icon. That's all you got to do. And you're in there. And so it's going to be oops, sorry about that. All right. So with that being said, man, hey, let's go around the horn right quick. Let's give out some pleasantries before we get ready to get out of here, Mr. Brian.
First of all, I think it was a fabulous show tonight. And thanks for Treps for showing up. And Alex, always great to get his input. And also thanks for all the No Maniacs that shared your time and stuck with us from beginning to end. It's always greatly appreciated. Hope you guys have a safe, wonderful weekend. Look forward to see you guys soon. And I also want to give a shout out. Happy early birthday to Armando. His birthday is tomorrow, in which he also shares with a partner and friend of ours, Superback Sean Sierra. I hope you guys have a great birthday. You young fellas are trying to catch up with me, but I just got a little bit of a head start. You'll get there. Take care, guys.
Right on, Mr. B. Thanks for having me. And Trip said to make sure that you work out with him with your fat ass.
Those Persian clubs about killed me.
Those who?
Those Persian clubs you had.
well, he'll go slow and easy into
Well,
it.
see, I had to use one of my uncle's peg legs, and that just kind of threw off the balance. But still, I was sore the next day, but it was comfortably numb.
Well, that's a good thing. We just got to make that a routine. And Nomad, thanks for having me. It's always nice to come back and help out where I can. And dude, you motherfucker, you motherfucker. And
Pop in right quick, dude. Pop in. Look at that shit, man. I love that. That fucking orange looks right on it, don't it, Nick?
Yeah, that shirt. Yeah, that's the one I want right there. That shirt, that dude got. That's nice.
That's the one you want. What's
we have it in a variety of colors too. It doesn't have to just be orange. You can get it in blue, white, black, tan, yellow, red,
orange,
style, brown.
I kind of like the orange motif.
Yeah, that Bears orange is nice.
Yeah.
What color you want, Trip?
Orange with the 2X.
And okay, 2X orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody remember that, man. I got the clothes on my mind just in case I forget. I might ask one of y'all. What size the Trip say? All right,
2.
Right on.
Same size as me.
All right.
You done with your Pleasantries Trip? You want to
big?
No, just thanks everybody, and follow at Sports Chicago Style. That's the channel on the YouTube, on the Twitter, Facebook, and the website. And so we got the food going and getting that regular, and we get the exercise going and getting that regular, and then we get everything else going. So it's coming together, and it's a beautiful thing. So thanks for all the support. Big up the Maniacs, and I'll see y'all on the interwebs.
Hey, man, it was a great show today, man. I enjoyed this.
One more. Alex, always with the stickiest of the notebook nuts.
Man, the bronze notebook, baby. The bronze notebook.
Magic notebook.
Man, I gotta develop that a little bit more, man, because Alex Shapiro, man, great stuff, man. I really do appreciate him. I know I say that to some people probably one too many times, and you think I'm laying it on thick, but I don't think people realize how gracious that guy is when you reach out to him one-on-one, you know, and he's not one of those guys that'll stiff arm you, you know. He just really gracious. If you have good vibe, you know, if you got good vibe and good energy, he's the type of person that connects with you right away. Yes. I'm sure if you don't have a good vibe, good energy, you might get a different response. But that goes to what I'm about to say right now. Go ahead, Brian. You got something?
I was just going. I don't see how you couldn't get along with Alex. I mean, he's just a super nice guy.
Oh, you got people out here, man. You got people that are polar opposite of good energy, man. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Is you may find yourself in your life. You may find yourself in your life wondering why things aren't. You know, you're looking for that positivity in life. You're looking for good results. You're looking and wondering why bad things keep happening and negative stuff keeps coming around your space. Why it just seems like a dark cloud is around your life and you want to see some sunshine. It's because there's probably something going on with you internally. And so the spirit that you manifest is the spirit that you get. And so you could say one thing and speak one thing, and internally it'd be a totally different thing because the universal consciousness knows exactly what's inside you, and it's either going to gravitate to you in a negative way or a positive way. You know, I don't have to get all religious about it. People take that to a religious level. You know, good for them. Good for them.
Two different things.
Two completely different things in my mind, but you know, some people will take that in a religious way. But I am telling you, learn to control your thoughts. Well, I'm going to say that one more time. Learn to control your thoughts. If you got foul, negative thoughts in your head or some stuff that you think and you know inside you that's not the right thing to be thinking right now or ever, you know, whatever those thoughts are, you do have a switch inside you. You do have a switch inside you to eject that. Change your consciousness. Change what you're thinking. What you are on the inside comes out of you eventually. So whatever that is, your spirit, that universal consciousness is going to manifest in front of you what you're privately thinking. So if you got whatever it is on your mind, is something, XXX rated in your mind, and you're thinking about that on a normal basis, eventually you're going to manifest it. And it's going to show up in your real life with your nasty ass, Drew.
I'm just waiting for Selma Hayek to be knocking on my door.
All right. Hey, man, but no, seriously, in your life. So let's just say you have a child. Let's just say you have a wife, kids, or husband, whatever you got going on in your life, and you want to manifest good stuff. Think to the end. Think what you want for that person in your life, and think the result is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Don't think about all the stuff in between that can go wrong. You know what I mean? If you start focusing on that, that's where your energy is going to go. And guess what? It's going to manifest itself. So if you think the beginning and the end, let's just say you think your child is going to get a 4-year education, 6-year education, 8-year education, get a master's, become a lawyer, whatever. Think to the end. Don't think about all the stuff in between. See the outcome. Imagine your child taking that degree. You got a person in your life that you in trouble. You got something going on that's not really going well. And you want to, and it can be fixed. Think about the fix and the result that can happen. Think about the happiness that can happen after you repair that relationship. Don't think about all the shit that can happen in between now and then. That's what I mean by think, see, manifest.
Yes.
You can think it, you can see it, you can manifest it. I'm telling you, it's all in your mind. And the vibe that we have to live with is a collective consciousness. And the more and more people realize that, the better and better this world is going to be. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in people's lives that I've mentored, counseled over the years. You just got to believe. You just got to believe. Faith, to me, I won't call it any names, but it's a lot for a lot of people. But for me, I feel like I need to take that to a different level and think outside the box. And so with that being said, hey Nick, if you got the outro ready, I'm getting ready to close it on out, man, because when I say these things to you guys, I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to open people's minds to, there is a way to make things better in your day-to-day life. And that is creating a positive spirit, creating a positive energy by changing the way you think, controlling your thoughts. Keep your mind out of the negative places and think about the positive. If that negative stuff is overwhelming your mind, it's probably because you allowing it to. And so, hey, if you guys enjoyed this content, if you enjoyed what we put out on the table, and shout out to Alex Shapiro one more time from NBC Sports Chicago, from being humble and pleasant when he comes around here, that notebook of his that we love. Man, thank you again, Alex, for coming on the show, and thank everybody that came. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe on the way out the door. If you're new to the show, we can definitely use the support. We're trying to build a positive community over here, and I think it's going well. But the more and more you guys pour into us, the more and more we'll pour back into you. So with that being said, I'm gonna say this one more time.
And before you say it, C Sharp, I see you.
My guy C, Chris. Love you, man. R.I.P. Chris Sharp, man. Chris Washington, man. With that being said, let me say this one more time before we get out the show. If you can think it, you can see it. If you can do both those two things, you can damn sure manifest it. It's all up to you. We are out.